What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the Hoodrat podcast. And guess who we got on the podcast today? We got Laura Martin.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, how you doing, Laura?
I'm doing real good. How are you doing?
I'm good. How you feeling? You told me you're from Georgia, from the Atlanta area.
Yeah.
And you're out here in California. How you feeling in California?
Well, it's surprisingly chilly out here, but
Yeah.
I'm loving it because I haven't been out here in years, and it's good to be back over here in the mountains in the Inland Empire. We spent a fair amount of time. We've been here for a week, so we spent time with family and friends out in Burbank and drove all over the place to see LA. So it's been a really good trip, and it's a good time to be out here during this time of the year. So
Yeah, well, welcome to California.
thank you.
Hey, before we get started with some questions, is there where can people find you? And do you have any future projects that you'd like my audience to know?
Well, my very sadly outdated website is lauramartinart.com.
Okay.
I will be updating it very, very soon.
Okay.
I'll be including a store in there for prints and stuff like that too. So please check that out and keep checking back. And people can contact me through the website there too. I'm also on Facebook, Laura J. Martin. I'm on Twitter as Colorista, although I'm very rarely on there. And I'm on Instagram as Laura Martin Art as well. So please check me out anywhere you can find me. I'm usually on Facebook more than anything. I hope to be more of a across-the-board presence in the near future.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Laura, for being on here.
Sure.
So you worked on projects such as A-Force, Black Panther,
Yep.
Star Wars,
Yep.
Astonishing X-Men,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like what other projects have you worked on?
Well, I started out at Wildstorm, and the two big projects that I know from
Wildstorm.
there. Yeah.
Wow.
I started out there back in the mid-'90s, and the first two major projects that I had were Planetary and The Authority. So there was Planetary with Warren Ellis and John Cassaday, and The Authority with, again, Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch. Those were kind of the things that sort of, where I sort of broke out of the team colorist department at Wildstorm and started doing my own stuff. After that, I went freelance. I worked on Universe X with Marvel and JLA at DC for a bit, and then I went to CrossGen. I actually joined the CrossGen team for a while, for a few years, and there I was working with Mark Waid and Butch Geis on Ruse, and a little bit later on I switched over to Negation, which was drawn by Paul Pelletier. And then I went freelance again, and since then I've been working on a lot of Marvel projects, a lot of big crossovers like Secret Invasion, Siege, AVX, a lot, yeah. And Thor, I was on Mighty Thor, and with J. Michael Straczynski and Olivia Coppel. More recently, Black Panther with Ta-Nehisi Coates and Brian Stelfreeze.
Yep. And then we talked about that. It was that Run of Jewels cover run.
Yep. And
that's one of my favorite covers, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I loved it. I just picked up a black and white.
Nice.
Here for $5. I was stoked.
That's great. That's fabulous. Yeah. So that was a real honor to work on. That was just amazing. And the big one was Star Wars when Marvel finally got the Star Wars license. John Cassaday and Jason Aaron and I got to do the first 6 issues, and that was intimidating and scary and wonderful all at the same time.
And you just pointed out John Cassaday. He's right there signing some books over there. And you've been working with as colorist for a long time.
For a long time.
You did Astonishing X-Men, and you've done Star Wars, and that Star Wars run was a big run.
It was a big run.
It was a huge run.
Crazy. Yeah.
I collected that run, and it's like it's a whole short box.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All the variants. I don't even know how many variant covers there are to that thing now. I keep seeing, when I go to conventions, I keep seeing another version of the #1 cover, and another version. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I know. I didn't know, because I brought some books for John to sign.
Yeah.
But I remember because I see all the variants I have in my box.
Yeah.
There's a ton of variants for that.
It's crazy. Yeah.
What was more I'm going to ask you. What was more intimidating? Okay, let's get started. What was more exciting to join the X-Men family or the Star Wars family?
Well, that's a tough one. That's a hard one.
Because those are big. Those are big franchises.
Yeah. Honestly, that's hard, because I read Uncanny X-Men when I was in high school, middle school, high school, and
you have the guy right down there.
That guy.
Well, that guy.
Yeah, I need to go over and say hey. So that it was an honor to jump on that, but I think in terms of fandom, I think maybe the Star Wars stuff was bigger for me because I'd been a Star Wars fan longer.
Yeah.
So and to be able to not just Star Wars, but Luke Skywalker and
Yeah.
Princess Leia and Han and Chewie, and it was just those guys.
Yeah.
You know, that was the best part of it, and to really just dig into the same universe that I grew up on. You know?
Yeah.
It was incredibly intimidating, not only because we're dealing with Lucasfilm, but also because I know how specific the fans are.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
a lot of fans, and they are very, very particular about the details.
Yep.
So, you know, I made sure to reference every single frame I could get my hands on, and make sure I had, you know, every little piece of the costumes right, and every sort of the feeling of, you know, the Empire versus the Resistance, you know, the whole thing. So it was it was a thing. It was a big thing, and I'm pretty proud of the work we did on it, because I think we nailed it. So.
Who was more intimidating? Was it Lucasfilms or the fans?
The fans.
The fans? Okay.
Yeah. Well, like for instance, one of my very good friends, Justin Ponzer, who is a colorist also, unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, but he is one of the biggest Star Wars fans I've ever known in my life. And when they offered me the series, I was like, why am I doing it? Justin should be coloring this. I mean, this Justin's rule. It was his world. But they were like, well, it's John Cassaday. And I was like, oh, okay. And then when John finished his run, my husband isn't here. Usually he's my answer guy. I can't remember who took the art over after John, but Justin got a chance on the book. And I was like, thank goodness, because he deserves this. This is his world. But yeah, so it was definitely I wanted to make sure that I'm honoring, you know, not only the vision of the original film, but also the fandom. How
was a collaborative effort between you and Jason Aaron and Cassidy and you to put this story together to make it like right for the fans? Because you know, if the fans get a hold of, when they get a hold of one thing, it's like it thing goes viral, man.
Right,
you know?
right. Luckily, I think Jason probably had the worst of it, making sure that the script was right. You know, through Lucasfilm, and I'm sure John had quite a bit of editorial interference on his side. I don't want to say interference, but you know, editorial involvement on his side. By the time it got to me, like that part had already been approved, so I didn't have a lot to deal with in terms of Lucasfilm, other than the occasional, like, you know, you got this droid wrong or something. But really, it was very minor on my part. A lot of the hard work was done before I got to the pages.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I love the run, you know, and I love the art. I mean, the covers are fantastic.
They're just amazing.
Man, you and Cassidy with the stuff you guys did on those covers is like amazing, man. I got a couple for him to sign and for you to sign too.
Awesome.
If there's a little girl and she's a great colorist, like and she's 15 now and she's doing some awesome work. Yeah. And then, you know, she wants to get into biz, like what advice would you give her?
You know, it's weird because the way that I got into the biz was before social media and before really at the, you know, there wasn't even DeviantArt back when I got in.
Yeah.
So there was no way to promote yourself online. I had to go and interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I actually like sent in a portfolio and had to go to an interview.
Did you do a lot of Comic Cons too?
I do now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, with your portfolio and everything else.
Yeah. But I think now, a lot of editors actually check out places like Instagram. And yeah. Instagram's a big thing for editors to check out. What are some of the other, like DeviantArt's like pretty dead now, but
even like Facebook and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of editors are on all of these social medias, and they keep an eye out for who's doing what. And I think a good way to get in is to just put your own work out there and really sort of do a lot of self-promotion through social media. That's a major thing. Even if you're doing videos on processes or something like that, people pick up on this. People pay attention to this. A lot of the artists, the comics community pays attention, and we look out for each other. So we're like, oh my gosh, this colorist is really amazing. I definitely want to see more of their work. Or, you know, if I'm busy and somebody comes to me and says I need a colorist, I'll be like, check this person's work out. You know, I definitely need to see. You need to check them out and see what you think. So, I'm always trying to make sure that, I personally try to make sure other colorists are getting the work that they need too. But I think for a young person coming in, definitely do the social media, put your own work out there. Get pair up with another artist and have the other artist do black and white art, and you color it so that you get the practice of working with another person. Do that with a number of people of different styles, because it's important to be able to adjust your style to the art. And the more you do stuff like that, the more you're, not only the artist you're working with will get your name out there, but you'll also get more of a presence on social media, and people pick up on that for sure.
Okay.
One other piece of advice I could definitely recommend is don't get stuck just coloring.
Okay. Yeah.
Like me. Because after 25 years of coloring other people's work, I don't have a whole lot of stuff of my own to show. So I think it's really important, especially for young people, to keep doing your own work on top of working with with collaborating with other artists as well. I think that's critical.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about like females in comics, you worked on A-Force.
Yeah.
How was that? Like that
fun.
That was some awesome, empowering women there. Like, tell me more about that. How was that for you?
It was a lot of fun. I was super excited to be invited on the project, and I mean, you can't beat a good multi-character all-female cast. And I love the new character they introduced. Of course, again, I am terrible.
You know what?
With names.
I have her in my head because
the Galaxy woman.
The
what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about because I was just talking about her yesterday, and I don't. It's like blank. I'm blanking.
Literally just blanking on
Me and my
name.
buddy were talking about because we're like, oh look, it's Laura Martin. We need to get A-Force #1.
Yeah.
Because of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's right in the middle of the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was super fun.
I will pop it up here on the right on the bottom of.
Yeah.
Laura.
Oh, good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I will.
So she was a lot of fun to color. I like her, but the story was great. I loved the characters were a lot of fun to work on, and it was so many characters that I don't get to work on often.
Yeah.
I've never colored a Ms. Marvel project, so it was nice having Ms. Marvel in there. It was, or Captain Marvel, excuse me. It was fun having She-Hulk in there. These were characters that I would love to get my hands on, and I was glad I got a chance.
Yeah. That was some awesome work, and I mean, there's rumblings that we might get like an A-Force sometime in the MCU.
I hope so. That would be great.
How would that feel to see that?
Oh my gosh, it would trip me out. I would love it.
All right, let's ask some fun questions before we go.
Sure.
What's a hero that inspires you?
Oh, that's a good one. It's odd because he's an anti-hero, but Loki, yeah, is, I mean, I've been a Thor fan for a long time. I love Thor, but Loki is such an interesting character and such a complex character. It's funny because you think he's a narcissist, but at the core he's just a kid who was raised in a weird family, and he's just he's just trying to get by as best as he can. If that means cheating and lying and doing whatever he's got to do, he does it. But at the end of it, he somehow ends up making the right decisions. And you keep having to forgive him for being the jokester,
Yeah.
But I love the character designs on him from the very beginning, and all the way up into the MCU have been just amazing.
And it's just the thing about him is like he feels like he's not good enough.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
he's not Thor.
Yes, exactly.
He's
he's always in Thor's shadow.
Always
and
in Thor's shadow.
He's got to he's got to do things on his own and do it his own way, because that's the only way he can stand out from his amazing brother.
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by him as a character, and especially the half son and the from a frost giant, and the whole it's a really interesting character.
And it's just like the thought of trying to fathom like being adopted.
Exactly.
And not knowing about it, and how that would mess you up.
Right, exactly. By and being adopted from frost giants, who are the enemy.
Yep.
How do you even reconcile that? That's got to be.
And
crazy.
not understanding your history too at the same time. Like we have a country that's kind of like that too.
Exactly.
I mean, it really speaks to a lot of different people, and I think the MCU has done a really good job about that, especially in the Loki show.
Yeah.
Help understand. Like I just feel like I'm not good enough, and I want to be accepted, and the whole thing about him loving himself, I think there's more to that too. It's just like
Absolutely.
Finding the love
for
yourself.
He's a very self-conscious person, and
aren't we all?
like so many of us are, you know, and he hides it by being this trickster guy, but ultimately
those are the best comedians.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So I thought his I love the way that Tom Hiddleston has just run with the character, and he's clearly, a huge Loki fan himself, and not just the Marvel Loki, but the Norse Loki, everything. So, I appreciate his interpretation of the character a great deal.
And how about the villain you loved, you hate to love?
I hate to. Oh, there's another good one. Wow. Well, I mean, there's always Darth Vader. He's awesome. Mm-hmm. He just looks good.
Dude, I just love Darth Vader.
Dude, he's just intimidating.
You know who's one that in Star Wars is Kylo. I hate to love him.
Yeah.
But he's a much misunderstood dude too.
Again, he's another guy who's living in the shadow of his grandfather. Yep. He's trying his best to be, the bad guy, but ultimately he's just, this poor kid who's just like, I'll never live up to my grandfather. You know?
I'll never live up to my uncle or my father.
Yeah.
And I have all their powers, and I'm even probably stronger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, he's a great character. Oh gosh. I mean, there's always, I love anti-heroes or villains, depending on who's writing the book. But I love vampires, so anytime I see a good Dracula story or a good, because that's another guy who you can interpret one way or the other. Either he's the hero of your story or he's the villain. And initially, of course, he was the villain in the original work. But yeah, so I love seeing different interpretations of the Dracula mythos. Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite characters. So.
And last question I'm asking you, you're from Georgia, and I want to go. I've been to Atlanta a couple of times, but you're a local.
Yep.
So I'm asking. This is going to be like a twofold question.
Okay.
What hero or villain would you take to dinner in Georgia? And where in Atlanta, right?
Yep.
And where would you take them to eat for dinner, and why?
Okay. I would take T'Challa to Mary Mac's Tea Room.
I'm going.
It's all Southern fare. It's beautiful Southern food, and I think he would totally dig it. Yeah. Actually, I'd probably take him. Honestly, I'd take him on a tour of Buford Highway, because Buford Highway is full of every kind of cuisine you can imagine. It's very diverse. If he decides, if T'Challa says, "Hey, I want to try Malaysian street food," I'll take him to Food Terminal. If he wants to try banh mi, I'll take him to Nam Phuong.
Wow.
I'll take him to. If he really wants a boba tea, I have a place for him. If he really wants, these beautiful pastries, we're gonna have to go to Sweet Hut. And these are all within like a mile stretch on Buford Highway.
Are you guys taking notes? Is everybody taking notes on this?
Buford Highway in Atlanta, actually in Chamblee, which is just a suburb of Atlanta. That's where I live, so that's my stomping ground. And we are just literally eating our way through Buford Highway.
I would be going to Dragon Con someday.
Yes.
And I will be doing. I'm writing these down. I'm gonna rewind this, write this all down.
Yeah. You're gonna want to take the MARTA up to the Chamblee exit, and you can't, and then you'll have to take a bus to get over to Buford Highway. But it's worth it. Or rent a car, or get a Uber, because it's really worth it.
Hey, thank you, Laura, for being on the Hoodrat podcast, and congratulations to the Braves.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for beating LA, because I it's right here. I hate LA.
Right
I hate the Dodgers.
I love it.
They beat the A's in the 80s, and I hated them ever since because that Kirk Gibson.
Nice.
So congratulations on that. Let's say it again together. Congratulations, Atlanta.
Congratulations, Atlanta.
Right.
Love you guys.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay.